Coming up next, we're going to talk about primarily portable temporary rumble strips. That's a safety item that's come on in the last few years. It's one that's not been without its challenges, but we have seen a number of successful applications of the portable temporary rumble strips. And VDOT has learned a number of things, as well as the contractors have learned a number of things on proper application of those, where to use those, how to use those. And this morning, we're going to have David Rush from the Central Office Work Zone Safety Office. David has a lot of years of experience working in the whole safety realm, and certainly portable temporary rumble strips is one of those pieces of his knowledge base. Following him will be Goodwin Moore with Superior Paving Corporation. Superior has done a lot of work around trying to make sure that they use these correctly. So we're going to hear from Goodwin following David. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to David. So it's all yours.
Hello, I'm David Rush, the Work Zone Safety Program Manager for VDOT, and I've been asked to share information on portable temporary rumble strips, or PTRS. They will be in this year's paving schedules, so I hope to answer some questions in my presentation that you may have. First question being is, why are we using portable temporary rumble strips in our paving schedules? One of the reasons is distracted driving crashes are still occurring at an alarming rate. Over the past 3 years that we have work zone data, it shows that almost 2,500 crashes were speeding driver related. Almost 1,800 crashes were distracted driver related, and a little more than 1,000 crashes were alcohol related. But law enforcement will tell you distracted driving crashes are believed to be the most underrated reported crashes occurring on our roadways today. So what is distracted driving? It's more than just somebody talking or texting on a cell phone. These are many examples that you've probably seen on the roadway as you go up and down today. Actions such as motorists eating or drinking, with having pets in the car or kids, reading or looking at something other than the roadway, putting on makeup or shaving, or just not looking or paying attention to the roadway in front of them. These are all actions that are considered distracted driving. If our focus isn't on the roadway, if our hands on the steering wheel, then we're being distracted. We've been looking for years at ways to try to reduce distracted driving in our work zones. And what we found that other states have been using successfully is the portable temporary rumble strips. It's really an attention-grabbing device. These are some of the benefits. It creates an audible noise and vibration to motorists. It raises motorists' attentiveness to flagging operations. And flaggers are one of the most exposed workers out there that we have on the roadway today. It provides an audible warning to flaggers, increasing their awareness of approaching vehicles. And it helps reduce rear-end collisions and roadway departures. In 2020, so far, 51% of all crashes in the work zones were rear-end collisions. So we developed a policy that came out in late of 2018, and since then we've included most of it into the Virginia Work Area Protection Manual. So conditions for the use of portable rumble strips, they shall be used when work operation involving flaggers occurs on a 2-lane roadway during daylight hours, shall be used when the work duration is greater than 3 hours but less than 72 hours, when the existing posted speed limit is 35 miles an hour or greater, and when a roadway has 500 vehicles per day, which usually is indicated by centerline pavement markings. Portable temporary rumble strips shall be used in both stationary and non-stationary flagging operations in the initial TTC setup. Should conditions for their use, they should be considered on unmarked roadways at least 18 feet wide or wider. Should be considered and located in advance of horizontal curves when possible so they are visible to traffic. They should be installed according to section 6G.25 of the Virginia Work Area Protection Manual. That is, installed and removed as a mobile operation or as a slow roll operation. Portable temporary rumble strips may be used at posted speeds less than 35 miles an hour. May be used in one-lane, two-lane application which utilizes AFAS or portable traffic signals. Used on a divided four-lane, non-limited access roadway at the discretion of VDOT management. We've actually had VDOT crews who have used them successfully on low-speed, multi-lane primary roadways. However, we're not ready to use them yet on the interstate roadway system, although states like Texas have successfully used them on 70-mile-an-hour posted roadways on interstates. But they may be used during nighttime operations. Portable rumble strips shall not be used on loose gravel, bleeding asphalt, or heavily rutted pavements, or unpaved surfaces. We need to have the surface stable, if you will, to successfully use rumble strips. We don't need them or want them moving around when they run over by vehicles. And then we don't want to use them in pedestrian crossings or marked bicycle lanes. However, other states have used them successfully in bike lanes. We're not ready to do that. But the question that has been asked is, what exactly is a loose gravel roadway? What we found, other states are allowing them to be used on slurry sealed and latex modified overlays. When these surfaces are put down the day after they're applied, we really don't have loose gravel on these type of roadways. So guidance was developed last year in June for our designers who are put together this year's scheduled contract. We've already talked about the first A, B, and C areas. Just repeats what was in the work area protection manual. But surface treatment operations are a little bit different. All right, so for two-lane flagging operation, for asphalt, slurry seal, and latex modified overlays, this is what you'd be using. So show a series of 5 signs as you approach the work zone. We've added a rumble strips ahead sign from previous flagging operations with the portable rumble strips placed at the be prepared to stop sign. We're showing a second set here at the beginning of the activity area, but this is completely optional. We've had some VDOT crews that wanted to use a second set, so we show in the work area protection manual where that second set would go. For surface treatment operations, this is the guidance that we've given. The portable temporary rumble strip shall be used in both travel directions on the first day at a location. So here an example is where we have a 1-day operation. So in advance of that operation, both westbound and eastbound, we show a complete set of signs with the rumble strips and the flagger. So if work can be done at this location and completed, then this is what the TTC would look like. A full set of signs on both sides and the rumble strips and flagger. So at the end of the day, you'd pick up your signs, you'd leave the loose gravel signs out since that is slurry surface treatment operation. But say you come back the second day to do another area section of roadway at the same roadway that joins the completed section from the day before. In this case, on the westbound lanes, the flagging series of signs would be shifted ahead with the rumble strips and flagger in place. On the eastbound lane, you'll notice we just moved the flagging series of signs and the flagger. There's no rumble strips or rumble strips ahead used on the surface treated roadway. So the unimproved roadway would have the same series of signs. The approved roadway with the surface treatment would not get the rumble strips the second day. And vice versa, it's the same thing. If the third day, more work needs to be done at the same location, the signs are westbound are just shifted ahead of the work, and the signs eastbound are shifted closer to the work with no rumble strips or no rumble strips ahead sign. What we found talking with the other states is because of the surface treatment operation or application, vehicles are more alert because they're running over the gravel and their speeds are slower. Intersecting roadways to where surface treatment work is being performed requires a road work ahead sign, a graphic flagger symbol sign, and a flagger for operations occupying less than 300 feet of the connecting roadway. So here we have a roadway that connects to this. And all we're doing is coming back maybe a few feet and putting some surface treatment. So if it's less than 300 feet, then just road work ahead, graphic flagger, and a flagger. Now, if the operation is 300 feet or greater, say we are going to do this whole side roadway, then we'd have the full series of flagging signs, as well as the portable temporary rumble strips and the flagger. Just a little additional information about the rumble strips. They shall sit flat across travel lanes and shoulders. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of cases where the rumble strips were put in upside downwards. They do have a flat side, they do have a curved side. If the flat side's not put down, the curved side is, they will be picked up by tractor trailers or heavy vehicles. So make sure the flat side is on the roadway. For narrower roadways, the portable temporary rumble strips may extend a little bit into the ditch line. We've had so much as 3 feet of the rumble strips in the ditch line, but because of the weight of the rumble strips on the main roadway, they haven't moved. The edge of the portable temporary rumble strips shall not be placed on top of raised curves. We don't need that different of elevations where vehicles can then get them and make them move. Portable temporary rumble strips shall be used in arrays of 3 rumble strips, spaced 5 to 8 feet center to center, placed transverse across the travel lane. They need to be checked on from time to time throughout the day, but the greater the speed limit, the further apart you would place these. And guidance is in the TTC layout for that. Portable temporary rumble strips will be measured in units of each and will be paid for at the contract unit price for each array. This price shall include installing, maintaining, removing, and relocating throughout the life of the project. So for each day operation, they would be paid for at the units of each. We do have signs in work zones that say no handheld communication devices. And now it's a statewide law that talking or using a handheld device is against the law. But we all realize motorists will drive as long as they feel comfortable in doing the things that they do. Texting is going to continue. Eating and drinking is going to continue. Taking the eyes off the road is going to continue. Just like we have signs for speeding, motorists still drive sometimes excessively over the posted speed limit. They will continue to use handheld communication devices, without a doubt. Portable temporary rumble strips is the only device we've found that has successfully gotten drivers' attention back on the roadway when they run over those. And again, it gives an audible warning, a thump, thump, thump to flaggers who's on the roadway of somebody who's approaching. This concludes my presentation. Hopefully I've answered some of the questions you may have had. There will be a question and answer period later on. And then here's my contact information if you need to reach out to me. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, David. Another very informative discussion about a number of topics. So again, don't forget to ask questions related to the safety aspects. David Rush is a expert in his field related to work zone safety. So not just portable temporary rumble strips. There's a number of things that have gone on. As he pointed out in the very beginning, we're looking at laws now that don't allow the use of phones unless you have it in hands-free mode. And that's not just on construction projects now, that's throughout. We hope that obviously improves the safety of the traveling public and the safety of our workers as we move forward. But certainly anything that comes up associated with that, share that with David, and he will certainly carry that to the right people. Coming up next, we have Goodwin Moore. Goodwin, again, is with Superior Paving, and Goodwin's going to talk to us about the contractor's perspective associated with the application of portable temporary rumble strips. So Goodwin.
Hello, my name is Goodwin Moore. I'm with Superior Paving, and I'm going to speak a little bit more about the portable temporary rumble strips, also known as PTRS. As we all likely performed work on plant make schedules and other VDOT contracts that required PTRS to be used, I'm going to try to avoid rehashing the basics and the specs, as I'm sure most of us, like I say, have been exposed to this. first, I just want to touch on the overarching theme of safety. We at Superior have a motto, safety is for life. It's a little corny, I know, but I don't think there's a more accurate definition of what exactly safety is and what we're trying to accomplish when we talk about safety. This picture here shows a work zone accident. I'm not sure exactly all the details of what went wrong or what led to this event, but I would say that there's a likelihood, and definitely in certain work zone accidents, where the work zone was set up completely by the book. You know, your sign spacing was right, your taper lengths were right, you had all the right signs, and something still went wrong. And that's a pretty sombering thought, you know, to have, is that no matter if we do everything right, there's still an opportunity for a work zone accident to occur. And that's because we're in an environment that's not controlled. We've got, you know, motorists behind vehicles that are a lot bigger, a lot faster than us. And when something goes wrong, or when they do something they're not supposed to, it can lead to a devastating result. Again, I think that's important as we talk about safety and the new things we're doing, is to keep that in mind, that the intent, you know, it's a lot more work, you know, one could think, but it's really there just trying to get these motorists' attention to keep us and the traveling public safe. So I wanted to kind of hit on the toolbox and the tools that we have in our toolbox to kind of eliminate some of this risk that we have, some of the inherent risks that really we can't mitigate, but we can try to reduce. So right now we've got the public notification, and certain applications we're using door hangers to notify the public that we're coming, a work zone's coming into your area. VDOT's done a great job in recent years of increasing their social media presence, alerting motorists, you know, next week there's going to be a work zone on such and such road between the hours of such and such. Just trying to either get the motorists to not go that direction and not be in our work zone, or to at least know that we're there. Some districts that we've worked in, you know, they're having us put message boards out on the work zone 3 days or a week before we show up, just letting the motorists know that we're going to be there. There's the worker PPE, as always. We're using the trousers now on our maintenance of traffic. You got your amber lights on your vehicles. Certain applications we're using the police, which is, you know, amazing the impact that they have, you know, with the blue lights and getting people to slow down as they come through our work zone. There's also been some recent legislation related to work zones in terms of, you know, increasing the penalty for cell phone use, as well as in some of your longer term work zones, you're able to reduce the posted speed in certain applications. You know, all companies have some type of training just trying to emphasize the risks that we have and how to reduce them, you know, and making sure that we know what to do and what not to do. You got your work zone signs, your road work ahead, be prepared to stop, et cetera, which is trying to get the motorist attention that we're there. Finally, this new application, the portable temporary rumble strips, is one more tool that we have in our toolbox. You know, I admit, you know, when I first heard about the portable temporary rumble strips, it seemed like it was one more thing that we had to do to actually get in the road and do the job that we need to do. But as you step back and think about it, you know, we're not getting the motorist attention now. You know, they're driving by the road work ahead, the 4 signs on the secondary road, 2-lane road, and they're not seeing us, and we're having accidents. So I stole this information from a VDOT slide this summer. It's a little dated, it's only through August, but it compares the work zone accidents from 2020 to 2019. As you can see at the bottom, the total, we had a little bit of a decrease, almost 1.5% decrease from 2019. But when you look deeper into these numbers, it's a somewhat disturbing information, as in terms of, you know, COVID was here this year. We had lower traffic volumes. We had less frequency. With less frequency, you have less opportunity to have accidents. And you can see that we only decreased 1.5% with less people on the road, which is a little alarming. As well as when you look at January and February, the traffic crashes were up 58 to 79%, when really we're not even out there. The asphalt industry typically doesn't have the work zones in January and February, but that's pre-COVID. That's when, you know, traffic volumes are somewhat normal and likely what we'll be experiencing going forward. So, you know, to me, it's concerning just thinking of if January and February are actually the new trends in terms of, we've got distracted drivers, the cell phone use, it's really concerning as a worker in a work zone. So just getting back to the portable temporary rumble strips, the main purpose, and again, this is likely the purpose of all those, that long list that I talked about earlier. It's just a tool to enhance safety by alerting the traveling public to our presence. So the benefits, it creates a noise and vibration. Again, there's a visual appearance for us that, with our signs, that they can see that and know that we're there. They're not seeing that, obviously. So now we're creating some noise and vibration to try to get their attention. It also gives us a benefit to our flaggers in terms of it creates somewhat of an audible noise to our flaggers that there's a vehicle approaching, just to kind of, again, alert them that they're about to see a car and to be prepared. So one item that I wanted to get into in terms of the specs is the uses for when they are used and when they're not used. It's been a little bit of a confusion with it being a new spec, and when do you use them, when do you not use them. So again, they shall be used when the following are met. It's a 2-lane daytime flagging operation. Again, the main word there is a daytime flagging operation. The work duration is greater than 3 hours, but less than 72 consecutive hours. So, our plant mix schedules where we're there 10, 12 hours a day and come back the following day, those do apply. And finally, the speed limit is 35 miles an hour or greater, and there's centerline markings in the road. When they shall not be used is on loose gravel, bleeding asphalt, rutted pavements, or unpaved or milled surfaces. And finally, they can be used in optional statement is during nighttime operations or on multi-lane roadways. So there's TTCs showing where you put the rumble strips, the signs, but again, that's an optional, and depending on field circumstances and conditions, you can use them. So finally, I just wanted to get into some of the operational ideas and kind of the new things that we had done or learned through this year. So to start the year, we had our cribs for the portable temporary rumble strips mounted on the back rear hitch. We realized it wasn't really great to have our workers in the back of the truck, so we got with Ford and got the kit put on the front to where the front hitch could support the weight, as you can see in the slide. And the other thing we did is we mounted jacks to the cribs. That way, that one worker could lower the jacks and basically detach the crib from the truck without having to actually pick the crib up and set it on the ground. And then when they went to install it, actually have to pick it back up and install it, just trying to prevent some back injuries, because these things are heavy, as most of you know. Another thing is TMAs or shadow vehicles. When you're putting up and taking down these portable temporary rumble strips, some of these secondary roads you're not using TMAs, so sometimes it's hard to get your hands on one. But if you've got one, that's great. If not, at minimum, we'd like to try to keep a shadow vehicle behind the maintenance of traffic crew, just kind of alerting traffic that that we're going to be in the road. We've got guys in live lanes, which we obviously don't really like. And some of these secondary roads, you've got windy, hilly roads that aren't the best to be stopped in traffic without full lane closure setup. One other idea, and I'm not necessarily endorsing these, we honestly don't use them, it's something new, but just figured I'd mention is, so Roadquake's got a retrieval system that essentially you attach to your cribs, and then you take that wire, connect it to your rumble strips that are installed when you're picking them up, and you can use a wireless remote to bring them back into the crib. So it limits the amount of time that your workers are in the lane closure or in the live lane of traffic, and also it kind of brings those rumble strips back into the crib, so you're not having to pick them up. And finally, the Raptor handling machine. This is a bigger investment. I think VDOT's got a few, but essentially these automatically deploy and pick up the rumble strips, so the person doesn't have to get out of the vehicle to install them. And the last slide I really just wanted to hit on is the daily roles and responsibilities of both the industry and VDOT. Each morning, the industry, we've got certain objectives that we want out of that day, and certain things that keep us up at night, things that we're worried about in terms of the plant. How are we going to get the asphalt there? Are we going to have a productive day? VDOT's got different kind of objectives for the day. But the one thing that we share is safety. And it's important that we both realize that we own making sure that everyone is safe and that we don't compromise safety. So there's some decisions that can be made throughout the day. And I know one thing that concerns me is as we try to limit the inconvenience to the traveling public, that we don't sacrifice safety. Sometimes, you know, you'll get a 2-lane road with flaggers, you'll get a little bit of a traffic backup. And there's somewhat of a thought of moving flaggers to try to shorten the work zone. But sometimes you're compromising, you know, putting a flagger in a bad spot where he's not seen, and whether it's over a hill or around a curve, that it's just better to keep the lane closure a little long, keep the traveling public backed up a little bit. But again, you're not sacrificing that safety, because again, we're the only ones that can control our work zone safety. And we don't want to make decisions that sacrifice that. So again, that's all I have, and I appreciate y'all's time. If there's any questions, we'll catch it at the end. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much. Good one. Again, your time and the great information that you provided there. You know, we were just talking here earlier, portable temporary rumble strips are something that obviously has entered the safety arena and has been a really good application for trying to improve the safety of our construction workers and the traveling public for that matter. It's certainly got a lot of hurdles. You know, people have talked about, you know, unfortunately, some people will try to drive around them and put others in danger just because they don't want to ride across them. So there's still some hurdles that we got to overcome. But as a whole, I think we're seeing that as we learn, we're finding the proper benefits to it. We were talking here earlier about, you know, some of the equipment that you just showed at the very end of yours, and I'm not endorsing those either, but it was kind of like moving a piano. You know, when I move a piano, there's a good chance I'm going to hurt myself. But then you watch some other people that have learned how to actually properly do that, and it's just almost amazing to watch. So we're learning the same sort of things as we try to apply things like portable temporary rumble strips, and we'll continue to learn that.